Welcome back to my channel. I'm Traven, and in today's video we're going to try to solve how to solve your own murder before they do. Just started reading How to Solve Your Own Murder by Kristen Perrin. This is not my normal way to approach mystery or thriller books, but I thought it would be fun with this one to try and solve the case or solve the murder before the book reveals what's happened. I'm doing this before I have any idea how the book is going to pan out. The mystery and suspense genre is one that I feel is varied in its level of how much can you figure out. So there are some books that are written that there's no way you can figure out what's really going on until the reveal at the end of the book. Some that are whodunits, like Everyone on This Train is a Suspect, where if you're paying attention you can figure out a lot of different things that are happening in the story. They're more like trying to get you to do this detective work and to figure it out. So as of filming right now, I have no idea where this book is going to fall on that spectrum, if we're even going to be able to figure out what's happening before. But given some things that happen early on in the book, I think this is going to be one that is going to try to get you to solve it. So I've got a composition book, and I've written down our biggest clue so far, our biggest note so far is the prophecy that is at the core of this whole book. So the premise of the book is this girl is given a prophecy about her life as a teenager, and she takes it very seriously, and it has like consumed her life. She's now convinced that everyone around her is going to be her murderer, and so she has these, like, I assume she's going to have these dossiers on everybody, and it's going to really confuse the process of elimination. She's paranoid. She's going to think it's everybody around her. So here is our prophecy from the book. It says, "Your future contains dry bones. Your slow demise begins right when you hold the queen in the palm of your hand. Beware the bird, for it will betray you, and from that there's no coming back. But daughters are the key to justice. Find the right one and keep her close. All signs point to your murder." So, a couple of things that I'm already trying to sleuth out. So we have a reference to a bird. I'm very curious what that might be. Like, that could be a literal bird, or it could be a last name. A lot of these could be names, and it was given verbally, so that makes me think maybe they'll do some trickery with, like, oh, this is actually a person's name. The idea of holding the queen in the palm of your hand immediately makes me think of cards, but we'll see. That's just where my mind is going with that particular clue. And then again, daughters are the key to justice. Justice could also be a name. Right now that seems, from her interpretation, to be who should get her inheritance. The future contains dry bones, and all signs point to your murder. All signs point to your murder seems pretty direct, although there are different ways to interpret signs. Your future contains dry bones is the line that makes the person feel like this is actually something that's happening, because she had some other note about her that said that they were going to make her into bones or something, or they'd turn her into bones. And so she thought that's too big of a coincidence that these things came up at the same time. So this is what we got going so far. Again, I'm not very far into it. We're just now introducing characters. I think as I read, I'm going to make pages for the different suspects, the different people I think it could be. We've already gotten a couple of names of potential people, but yeah, I'm gonna continue keeping this journal, and I'll come back with a check-in when we're about maybe halfway through and see if I've figured out anything so far. Hello again, sleuths. I'm about 200 pages into How to Solve Your Own Murder at this point. It has been really slow going getting to this point because I am writing down a bunch of information in my journal. At this point, I don't know what is pertinent information and what is just useless information, but I will say for sure that the author is having an awful lot of fun with birds in particular, and bird names in particular. So if you'll recall, the prophecy said that the bird would betray you. So if we don't have a last name like Crane or Sparrow, then we are introduced with bird-like curiosity or a hawkish nose. I can tell the author's having a lot of fun with this and is putting these breadcrumbs out so you can be like, oh, well, maybe it's this person right here, maybe it's this. Less so with the I'm going to put your bones in a box. Or no, your future contains dry bones. That one, I feel like pretty solidly we have a good idea of what that is meant to entail. We also got fairly recently, like I'd say around page 150, 160, we got the will being read. Definitely after page 100. So we had the will being read. And the will is very interesting because it basically sets up the rules of the murder mystery without there being some sort of outside influence. The inheritance is whoever can solve her murder, because everybody has doubted Aunt Frances, for her entire life. And so she's like, well, now you have to believe me that I was murdered, because if you want to get my money, then you have to solve my murder. They have to solve it within a week. It's only Annie and Saxon who are allowed to solve the murder, or allowed to like publicly announce the murder. If the police figure it out first, or if they don't figure it out at all within a week, then the entire estate goes to Oliver, and Oliver is going to just bulldoze the place and put up like a hotel and parking garage and a mall or something like that. Annie doesn't want that. Saxon doesn't want it. It's like his family home that this is happening to. I don't know if this is something you can do with a will, but it's a fun conceit for a book, so let's just roll with it. And that, of course, pits Annie against the Detective Crane, another bird name. So, yeah. We've met an awful lot of characters, and I've been trying my best to write down information about them, but also try to keep in mind what's most important in the story, because we're getting fed a lot of information. There's two timelines happening. There's a journal that Annie finds from Frances about her life as a teenager, and that's revealing important information for what's going on in the modern day setting where Annie is trying to investigate the murder. So we do know for sure it's a murder now. It doesn't seem like it was caused by the intended method. This has been so terribly complicated that I actually had to create my own crazy murder board, and so we're going to cut to that for the remainder of this explanation. I've converted my children's whiteboard here into my conspiracy board. So let's talk about all the things that this is illustrating for us. So up here, we have the three main girls from the past. Okay, we've got the great Aunt Frances right here, represented by an F. We've got Rose, represented by a flower. And we have Emily here, represented by a velociraptor, because she's small, fierce, and also dead. The T-Rex is Ford. He is being represented by a T-Rex because he is the lord of a local estate and is also dead. Frances ends up marrying Ford. Ford and Emily, or John Oxley over here, Emily is pregnant, or was pregnant, and it's either Ford or John's. We don't know which yet. That's why these are in red. I don't know what the real answer is. And we just got revealed that their daughter is Laura, which is Annie's mom. We can see a connection here between Annie, our protagonist, and Emily, right? That would make her Emily's granddaughter, regardless of the parentage, right? I'm leaning toward Ford being the actual father, but Emily's being very coy about it, so we don't know. Another big event that this is charting is that within Frances's clothes was a note, but Emily had been wearing Frances's clothes a lot to try to appear like her in an effort to steal John away from her, it seems, because Frances also dated John, right? That's this line right here. They were together, and she was figuring out that Emily was dressing like her in an effort to steal John away, right? But Frances found a note within her clothes that said, "I will put your bones in a box." And I think that that threatening letter was actually for Emily. So one of our big questions right now is, who left the note for Emily? I feel like if I can figure that out, I might break this case wide open. Now, this last bit here is just kind of a reminder for me. All three of these girls have necklaces that have birds on them. I believe it's Emily that bought them after the prophecy as kind of like a joke, but it's something that unites them, and it is an item that's coming up occasionally in the story. I don't think it's super important and like a key idea, but it's something to keep in mind. Now, back to this center board, because we're going to continue explaining these relationships. So we have Ford. His nephew is Saxon. He's a doctor, hence the apple, obviously. And he's married to, I think her name is Elva, something like that. She's rude, but I don't think that she's the culprit. She wants to insert herself in this family. She wasn't really part of the will, but she's there because Saxon's there. Saxon loves games, and he loves puzzles, and so he's the other person that could potentially unravel this and get the inheritance. Rose was Rose Forrester, but is now Rose Leroy. And I don't know anything about Mr. Leroy, who he is. Okay? But their son is Joe. Joe's a paramedic. Okay, Oliver wants to buy Rose's property right now. He's really pressuring her to do that. And one of the things that we want to figure out is, what is an event that happened recently, or why now did the killer, whoever the killer is, decide to strike and kill Frances? Okay, so that might be a potential thing, a recency thing. Last connection that we haven't talked about yet is that in the past, Emily was dating Gordon. This is the one she's dating when all the events happen in the past, where it's revealed that she is pregnant, and so there might be some feelings there as well. So yeah, okay, let's get to the other questions, because we've kind of exhausted the things that this board is showing us. Okay, question number 3. Why were we so coy with John's last name? So John is John Oxley, the vicar. Okay, we were very much avoiding saying John's last name for the longest time in this book. And then when it was revealed, it wasn't interesting. I wonder if that's significant. There were these appointments with the doctor on the day of the murder. So she had 2 appointments with Joe's partner. So he is a paramedic. There's another paramedic. She had 2 appointments with her that morning, which seems really odd. You don't do 2 appointments in a day with a surgeon, right? And then who has access to iron? Because it was an iron injection that caused the heart attack that ended in Frances's death. That's where we're at right now. And I hope this wasn't just a giant waste of time, because this was a lot of work, and I'm trying very, very hard to figure out what's going on here. I had to stop a little bit before I was intending to. I was going to get up to like 305, be about 50 pages from the ending. I'm on 298, and we've gotten to that point in the mystery novel where the character has figured it out, but they're not telling you, the audience. And it seems to be aligning with my suspicions. We had about the last 100 pages dealing with this other side plot that still works into the main idea. We threw out a bunch of suspects. We put out some more information about crimes that other people have been committing, but not really focusing on the main idea. And so the main, like, who killed Emily and who killed Frances. Annie is fairly convinced that those two crimes, those two murders, are like directly linked. Like if she figures out one, she'll figure out the other. And she was just going back over the notes again and had this like epiphany moment. She says the puzzle pieces start falling into place and she's finally put it all together. So I had to stop here. I do have a suspicion of who it is, but not necessarily how it links up with some of these other things. I do also have suspicions on how they got the murder weapon. They are not really putting this person out as a potential at all, and it is one of the more central characters. I'm worried they're going to pull some like peripheral thing. So we've learned about a lot of the misdeeds of the other characters. We've learned a lot about this these different illegal activities that are going on behind the scenes, but I don't think any of them are directly related to the crime we're actually trying to solve. So I hope I'm right, and I'm going to finish up reading the end, and I'll be back with my final thoughts. I just finished reading the book, and I have to say that I was mostly right. I missed a very major thing that tied into the main mystery, but I was right about several ideas that I had picked up. There were a lot of things that bothered me in reading this book, like when I was really looking at details, when I was really like being very persnickety and very detail oriented. It's like, why aren't they saying this person's name? Why isn't this happening? And some of those things completely irrelevant, did not matter at all. But again, I feel like I got the core mystery, the main thing that I was trying to figure out, I solved, and was really close to getting the mystery overall. So a lot of fun to read the book. I don't know if I want to do this again, honestly, though, because it was a lot of work in putting together notes and making my board and everything. And I was really frustrated. They have that prophecy and they have all these lines, and I thought I figured out something really clever with one of the lines, and then they never mention it. They don't say if what I thought would be a clever idea, what I thought would be like a really good hint, was right. One of the things they did do with that prophecy I felt was really weird and really forced. I didn't like it. But overall, I gave the book 5 out of 5. This isn't really a review, but like it's really great, and I think that anyone who is a mystery fan would enjoy it. It is something that you can figure out as you're reading through, which I always appreciate. It was not so convoluted that it was impossible to parse, so that was good. So yeah, those are my overall thoughts. Mostly figured it out, woo, but did not get it 100% correct. That's going to do it for this video. I don't even know what I'm calling this. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you're finding books that are entertaining you the way this book entertained me. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so we can grow this corner of our BookTube community. And until the next one, take care. She also dated John in the past, or what currently, right? So that's in the past, but currently in the story that we're reading